I've been selling on Etsy for almost a decade now, and I've been coaching new sellers for the past 3 years. And over that time, I've reviewed many different new shops, and I noticed a lot of mistakes that new sellers are making. So in this video, I'll be sharing 18 of the biggest mistakes that new sellers are making and how you can avoid these mistakes and how to fix them. And of course, I'm sure you're aware of some of the most common mistakes like lack of research, maybe you're not using SEO in your titles and tags, or maybe bad product images, or maybe even a lack of a good description. So we're not going to be talking about those mistakes. We're going to get more advanced in this video and share the biggest mistakes that you may not be aware of. So let's get into it. Starting with number 1, not optimizing your shop page. New sellers are so focused on building the perfect listing that they forget to optimize their shop page. But what typically happens is when a potential buyer is interested in your products, they click into your listings, and once they're interested, they may want to learn more about your shop. So they'll click into your shop to see what you're about, maybe your story, see what other products you have. And if you don't optimize your shop page, you can lose trust from the buyers and they can go somewhere else to purchase a similar product. So it's important to optimize your shop page. And this can include having a banner, having a profile image, having a shop title, having sections, having the announcement, the about page, the FAQ. So all of these should be optimized on your shop. Number 2, not adding a CTA, or known as call to action. And what call to action means is a way to encourage buyers to take a specific action. What is something you want them to do after they consume specific content, specific information? What is the path you want them to take after that? No matter what section you are in, you always want to lead them to the next phase. So for example, within your product images, maybe the last slide is to let them know how to purchase the item. What is the instructions on purchasing it? Another example, in your descriptions, maybe you want to add additional product links, maybe a link to your shop if you want them to learn more about your shop like we talked about earlier. Or another example of call to action is within your customer service. When potential buyers are asking you questions about your products, you can simply just answer them. But a mistake that a lot of people make is they just answer the question and that's it. They don't follow up with a call to action. So for example, you can answer the question and then add, is there anything else you're curious about the product before placing your order? So it prompts them with a question, so you're leading them on that next phase. Number 3, overpricing or underpricing products. A lot of sellers are making the mistake of just listing the products of what they believe it's worth without researching what the market is pricing a similar item in that category. And just to note, the way you price your products really depend on how much competition you are in that specific niche. If you're in a category where you have a very unique product and no one is offering something similar, then you have more flexibility in your pricing. However, if you're in a category that is a bit more competitive and your products are quite similar to everyone else's, then you really have to make sure you understand what the high price point is and the low price point is within your niche. And a common misconception about pricing is everyone believes the lower pricing you have, the better it is, the more sales you get. And in a lot of cases, yes, that is true. But again, depending on your product, if you know your products are higher quality, have more value that you're bringing compared to your competitors, then it's okay to price higher. And you'd be surprised how many buyers out there prefer to buy something that is at a higher pricing tier compared to buying the lowest items, because I think the value of it won't be as good. The quality of it won't be as good as products that are priced higher. Number 4, neglecting product updates. You may have posted some listings in the past and you may not be getting any results from them, but sometimes it just takes a bit of refinement and a bit of tweaking for it to start performing well. We had a student in the program where they had some products that weren't seeing any success, but after reviewing it, we realized that the problem was within the thumbnail. They weren't getting the right clicks, and without clicks, you're not getting sales. So after we adjusted it and we added some USP, which we'll talk about what USP later on in this video, but after we made these fine tuning, they were able to see a lot more success from listings that they thought were not performing well. And this is a very common mistake that a lot of sellers make. And even for myself, some of my shops, I need to go back to update some of those products to really know where that problem is. There are many pieces to the puzzle when it comes to building a successful Etsy shop. And within it, there's a lot of different elements that need to be aligned. So it just takes a bit of patience and refinement, and also trusting in the process. Number 5, ignoring analytics. it's really important to understand your shop manager and the analytics that Etsy provides. Data is going to be your best friend when it comes to figuring out what works and what doesn't work for your Etsy shop. A question I get asked a lot is people saying, hey Brandon, I'm not getting any sales. What can I do differently? And that is a really broad question. We need to break it down further and figure out what the problem is, and you can figure this out through analytics. If you're getting no views, that could be an SEO problem, or your thumbnail is not great. If you're not getting any sales, it could mean your conversion is bad. Maybe you need a better descriptions, maybe it's your price point, maybe it's your other product images, and that is how you can identify where the actual problem is. Once you understand how to read the analytics in your shop manager, you'll have a way better understanding on how your shop is actually performing in your overall business. Number 6, inadequate mobile optimization. A lot of people, when new sellers are launching their shop, they're really focused on how it shows on the desktop. But around 70% of buyers are shopping from the mobile app. So honestly, it's best to actually see how your shop, how your listings, how everything looks on the mobile phone. So what you want to do is download the mobile app and see how the images look. How are your text? Is it too small? How is your banner? Is it getting covered by the logo? How are your descriptions? How does it look when you're scrolling through? Is it too much text? Is it too much spacing? Maybe you want to add some bullet points instead just to shorten it up. So all these different things you want to take a look and see how it looks on your mobile phone and make adjustments accordingly. Number 7, lack of product differentiation. Offering products that are too similar with each other can cause confusion to buyers. And yes, if you watch my other videos, I talk a lot about being a specialist and having a lot of different variations of a specific niche. But if every product is like really similar with each other, you're gonna cause confusion and the buyers won't know what's the difference between every single one of your products in your shop. So one way on how you can differentiate the different listings is by adding a title on the main thumbnail, just so that buyers can quickly see the main difference between each of your listings. Number 8, know when to pivot. All right, this is a really important one. A lot of people will continue to build more and more listings within a category, even when they're not seeing any results. They'll have hundreds and hundreds of listings and they ask me, hey Brandon, I'm putting up more and more listings, but I'm still not seeing the results I'm looking for. And when I see that, it makes me sad because I realize, hey, the more you put out, it's not going to make a difference. You need to really switch up your strategy and do something different. Clearly what you're doing right now is not working, and that's fine. We just need to switch it up. You need to explore different strategies, different niche ideas maybe, or maybe your product's not great, right? So do these other things and just to push out more and more listings. But we'll talk more about that in this video. And if you're enjoying this so far, make sure to subscribe to my channel if you want to learn more about how to be successful selling on Etsy. Number 9, not investing in Etsy ads. A mistake that a lot of sellers make is they want to try to save costs and they may be a bit afraid to run Etsy ads. But one thing you can do is allocate a specific budget. Think about what is a budget that you're comfortable with testing out Etsy ads. And a lot of times it can actually be beneficial to you. A lot of times you can actually make a higher profit by running ads, and you're missing that out by not attempting it. I'm not saying it's gonna work for you 100% of the time, but it's worth tapping into it just to see if it works for your shop in your category. I do have a separate video that talks all about Etsy ads that you can check it out here. I'll link it. And just a quick rundown on everything you need to know about Etsy ads. So take a look at that video if you want a complete guide on what Etsy ads are and how it can benefit you. Number 10, lack of product reviews. And side note, this is really important before you start running Etsy ads, is to have some reviews for your shop. And this will greatly improve your conversion rate. But yeah, the mistake of not having reviews is a lack of constantly trying to get reviews from your early sellers. When you're first starting out, reviews is the most important part. So whenever I start a new shop, whenever I get some sales within there, I'm manually messaging each individual buyer, asking them to please kindly leave a review. And something you can try doing to have a higher chance of getting reviews is to message them, say, hey, I'll send you an additional free digital product if you are kind enough to send me a review. And a lot of times people will do that for you if they get some free products out of it. Number 11, not optimizing ads. So a mistake a lot of people make when they're running ads is once they start testing out some of the listings, they see that it's not working initially, they just stop and say, hey, it's not working for me, I'm gonna stop running all ads. But the reality is you need to look at the stats, you need to refine some of the keywords, and not all listings are going to succeed on ads, some will not, but it's about fine-tuning them and optimizing the ads manager. We had a student in the program where initially they did not see any success running ads, they were actually losing quite a bit of money, but over time we fine-tuned it. They improved on the products, they improved on some of the keywords, their mock-up in the descriptions, but over time they were able to increase their conversion rate, they had a better ROAS, they return on ad spend, and over time they were able to profit from it. So it took a bit of time, but they were able to make it work. They didn't quit and they continued improving and optimizing it, and at the end they were able to find success. Number 12, not creating a unique selling proposition, and it's short for USP. A mistake a lot of people make is not defining your products, what makes your products unique. I see a lot of new sellers would just try to copy what is top selling, what is best selling in the market, and try to mimic it, copy it, and try to sell that same thing. But if you think about it, there's two exact same products. One from a top seller with all the sales, all the reviews, and then there's yours with 0 sales and 0 reviews. Who do you think the potential buyer will buy it from if they are the exact same product? So that is where USP, a unique selling proposition, comes in. How can you make yours different? How can you make yours stand out from a saturated marketplace? A lot of times could come down to the aesthetic, the style of it, maybe a unique feature that you're including, or maybe a personal story that you can tie in with the product to make it more memorable. For example, if you are a wedding planner and you sell wedding templates, really let them know in the product descriptions and why people should buy from you instead, because that is your uniqueness. Number 13, inconsistent shop policies. Having unclear or inconsistent shop policies can really cause confusion to the buyers. So when you set up your shop, make sure that everywhere on there, you know what your policies are and it all aligns with each other. Clearly outline your shipping, your returns, your exchanges, all that should be the same. Number 14, not utilizing any researching tools. A mistake that a lot of people make is not spending the time to use a researching tool to gain insights on the Etsy marketplace. This is the first thing that you should be doing if you are starting an Etsy store. If there's one takeaway, this is going to be it, because you get to gain so much information, like how much demand a specific category is, how much competitors are, what are the shop listing age of the competitors, the different keywords and tags that they're using. You can also track the potential revenue of this specific shop so you have a good understanding on how much demand there are in a specific category. A tool I like to use is Everbee. It's a Chrome extension tool that you can quickly install and track everything as you're searching on the Etsy website. And yes, I am an affiliate with Everbee, but honestly, I've been using their tool way before I was even an affiliate. So I highly recommend using them for your researching tool. I do have a video where I dedicate exactly how I use Everbee as a researching tool. If you want to learn more about that, you can check it out. I have it linked somewhere on the screen. And I also have a link in the descriptions if you want to try Everbee out for free. Number 15, underestimating the power of good titles. A mistake a lot of sellers make is not adding a captivative enough title within their main thumbnail. And I did a video a couple weeks ago analyzing all these different shops and their different thumbnails and what separates a product from being successful and not, all based on the main thumbnail. So check it out. I have it linked here as well for you. But it's really important to spend the time and fine tune what that title looks like on your main thumbnail. One example from that previous video is we talked about these two images, and one where they highlighted the amount of templates within the listing and the other one does not, it's hidden down below, and that was the main difference. So really think about your category, what are some key features you want to highlight in the title, or just having a captivated enough title in your product thumbnail. A good way to start is to research your competitors and see what types of titles they're using to get inspiration for yours. Number 16, not testing multiple strategies. The mistake people make is they just stick with one marketing strategy and not taking this opportunity to experiment. But that's one reason why I love the Etsy marketplace, is the ability to quickly adapt and try different strategies. You can A/B test different price points, maybe your mock-up images, maybe different SEO tactics. A lot of these can be done really efficiently on Etsy. Maybe even different promotions you want to try out. But a quick tip is if you want to make all these different changes, to experiment different strategies, it's important to only do one of these elements at a time. If it's a really major test, like if you're changing the pricing, you would not want to change the pricing and change your branding, because those are two really major elements and you won't be able to tell which one was actually the effective one. So I would test one element at a time once a month, and I would track all the analytics to see what is actually working. Number 17, fail to learn and adapt. A mistake sellers are doing is not keeping up with the market trends and the updates that Etsy is making. Especially now, Etsy is making a lot of changes for the better. They're eliminating a lot of spam accounts, they're removing AI prompt listings and also PLR listings. So I truly believe that the platform is going to be even better as we go on into the future years. So it's worth putting in the time and energy to understand the platform and to be able to truly succeed in the marketplace. The last tip, number 18, is not taking it seriously. A lot of sellers like to treat it as a hobby and not an actual business. If your goal is to make money on Etsy, you need to treat it like an actual business. And a lot of times it can just come down to your mindset. I've come across multiple new sellers who come in and say, yeah, I want to, make some money of it, but I'm not taking it too seriously. It's just a hobby, but if I make money, perfect. But in reality, I know deep down they want to make it work, but they just want to put an excuse up just to say, hey, I'm not taking this too seriously. If it doesn't work, that's fine. I didn't really want to see it succeed anyways. But again, it all comes down to the mindset. If you really want to make it work, you have to say that. You have to say, I'm going to take it this seriously and I'm treating it as a business. Having the right mindset going into this will serve you so much better, and your actions will be different based on how you're bringing it out into the world. So if you're serious about selling on Etsy, have that conviction, have that confidence and say that, hey, I am going to put my time and energy and dedicate myself into making this work. And trust me, if you bring that out into the world, that energy, you can make it happen. So don't try to hide behind saying, I'm going to take it easy, even though deep down, you want to make this work. And that was a huge difference from when I first started, from when I was just taking it as a hobby to the point where I was really trying to be serious about it and dedicate my time believing in myself that it was possible. But that is it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you're serious about taking your Etsy shop to the next level, making sure you've done everything correctly from start to finish, then you may want to consider joining the Digital Freedom Academy. It's a step-by-step process that helps you with the initial researching phase, identifying your category, your niche, helping you create a launch plan, building up the products, figuring out your aesthetics, your branding, your mood boards, down to scaling your team, launching your shop, optimizing everything, running ads. Like pretty much everything is included in this step-by-step roadmap in the Digital Freedom Academy. You'll also be able to join our private community with a bunch of other sellers who are motivated to help each other out, answer each other's questions, and most importantly, holding each other accountable. So you're not doing this alone. And of course, you also have the ability to get in touch with me, ask me questions directly about your specific problems, your specific questions, because every shop, every situation is different. And if I'm able to help you personally for your specific goals, I think that could bring a lot of value to you. So if you're interested in joining, there's more information in the descriptions. Hopefully enjoy, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.